Hi, welcome to the Whitespaces Room. And today's topic of discussion is actually very interesting. It's a very basic topic, but it actually encompasses so many more things. So, that topic in general could say AI at work, but I feel like there's so much more to that. And like future and artificial intelligence has changed so drastically. It's become a boardroom priority right now. And I think leaders also figuring out how to kind of take over the storm of AI that has actually taken over the workspace. And while most conversations are focusing on tools and technology, I think a lot of times we kind of overlook the main thing of culture. Because at the end of the day, humans and AI, we are coexisting with each other. But how do we do it? And how do we do it seamlessly? And how do organizations prepare, for people, culture, leadership, and the ways of working for an AI driven future? And so today we have Krishnendu, who is the marketing head for Tata Play. And we have Anjan with us. He is the CEO of Whitespaces and the ex-CHRO of Hershey's. So, hi, guys.
Hi guys.
Hello.
So, what do you think of this topic? I've said AI at work. What do you feel when I said that AI at work?
I feel extremely optimistic.
Why do you say that?
Extremely optimistic because I think um, gradually there is an understanding. Whilst it all started off with a little bit of anxiety, a lot of media around AI losing jobs,
Yeah.
AI losing, reducing processes. But as the narrative, what I see is gradually shifting from anxiety to a little bit of apprehension. Now, a lot of positive reinforcement. So the mood is changing. There is value that's getting created. So, you know, the clients that I work with are finally getting some element or semblance of value. May not be the full one. And I think overall, we are fairly optimistic in terms of what it can serve, both in humanity as well as in work processes and systems that we currently have in organizations. So, by and large, I think I'm pretty optimistic with what's happening.
So right now you talking from a perspective from a consultant who is working with organizations. Krishnendu, you are working in an organization in marketing. You've seen the waves of marketing. You've seen where marketing 20 years back to marketing right now. How do you think things are evolving and how do you think people are reacting to it?
See, from when the AI wave started and companies were being told to adopt and adapt, it's been 2.5 years. What I've seen is as follows. I think the strides which AI has made is only not getting incremental, getting exponential.
Okay.
Point number one. Point number two, I think there has been a lot of shift from external dependency to internal tool building.
Right.
That's a very big development that's happened. Third, there is a movement from anxiety and fear of job loss to accepting that this can actually help increase productivity and start influencing business outcomes positively. And fourth is that it has opened up new ways of working as far as marketing is concerned. For example, if I have to double click on the marketing aspect, classically studio-led work or studio-led creators was something which was a domain of an advertising agency or a content production house, right? But increasingly many organizations, especially the ones for whom being on social media 24/7, people who need content all the time, it is making economic and business sense to move that function in-house. And once you move it in-house, a lot of what, say, external teams could do today is getting AI enabled. An AI enabled creative workflow, an AI enabled creative studio engine. All of that is possible if you're willing to apply your mind to it. Yeah. The flip side is that it has led to a lot of people, especially in my generation and vintage, having to unlearn and relearn a lot of things. It's had to happen.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to do that, it can make you very confident about yourself. Second, you can start looking at your workflows and your outcomes very differently from what you've done in the past. And third is that it just allows you to connect a lot with consumers today. I think that's a part which is very fantastic. I mean, I see AI as democratization of intelligence. Yeah.
That's very well put.
Yeah. So so the dependence on external intelligence and others have reduced quite a bit. So I think if you ask me, I can only see benefits on that one. There is generally no need to get anxious about the things that we should be worried about. Actually, there's no need to do all of that stuff. That's my view so far after 2.5 years of adopting AI.
I have a follow up. Now, you said that there's no need to be anxious, but as a leader, how have you had to deal with your teams when this got integrated? Because people reporting to you would also be at an age group where they also would have to relearn a lot of things. So, how have you, as a leader, tried to incorporate this entire thing?
Look, first as a leader, I had to learn. I could not dictate. So that's one. So I had to learn. Second is that it forced me to look out and meet people, engage with organizations, engage with experts who knew this field very, very well. And what I found very, very heartwarming was people were willing to, share. It's not that it was very hidden, and that's the spirit of AI. It's out there.
It's out there, yes.
So that helped. Third is to give work in that domain. See, there's no point reading a chapter about AI and showing yourself that you're learned. That never works. You got to do a project on AI. Yeah. And once you do a project, then try to push it to how it can become a part of everyday work and everyday workflows. When that starts happening, I saw that people whom I was working with get increasingly more and more confident about what it can do. And finally, for me, it was an opportunity to get reverse mentored. Yeah, that to me was my biggest learning. So do I today know a lot about AI? I don't think so, because AI itself is moving so fast. But I know enough to do my job. So those are the things that I've done, and different leaders have had different philosophies, but this is what seems to have worked for me. That's what I can talk about.
You've actually so beautifully put the whole thing. I feel like a lot of leaders are still struggling. I mean, you are talking to so many leaders. What do you think is the first reaction they are having when it comes to AI and how they're dealing with the whole thing?
In fact, there are three.
Oh, okay.
There are three sets of reactions that I see. So as we contract with different leaders in different companies, you actually can look at the clusters. The first cluster is I don't know how I start or where to start from. Okay. The second cluster is I know it's going to impact my job, but I need help. I know where this is going, but I need to get those resources. The third cluster is I exactly know how this will pan out. I also know where to fetch for, but I'm struggling to figure out how much resource and money I'm going to put to this.
True.
So the way our observation. So there are three sets of. So if you look at three different leaders, one leader is saying the first, the second is the second leader is second. You're looking at the second and the third. The dilemma is you got to treat those three leaders very differently. Okay. What we've seen models succeed in largely organizations we're working on AI is twofold. One is a top-down approach, which is to say, okay, we will deploy AI in X company. This is the money, this is the time, go ahead and do it. The other set of companies are saying, let's start small. Okay. Get AI into our daily day-to-day work, as Krishnendu alluded to. See if there is a step change or a process improvement or an efficiency that's getting driven. If you feel good about it, we're going to scale up. We're going to give you more money. So there are two approaches, the top-down approach and the bottom-up. We in Whitespace typically prefer the latter. To say you start small, don't spend humongous amount of money as a leader, and then it will be difficult to manage because it's also a very evolving capability going forward.
That's true.
And then you start building it up as we go by. So if you want to do one, say hypothetically, if you want to do it for marketing, you start with a team in marketing and look at what are those opportunities within your marketing processes that will become efficient if I deploy an AI or an AI tool or a custom GPT or a whatever you want to do it. If you are in, and then if that's successful, you can try it for supply chain and HR, right? So you will have to treat AI as a companion, which will tread with you for a journey, right? And then work accordingly. So that these are the two ways in which leaders are looking at artificial intelligence, or maybe generative AI from that context.
There's a sub point to what he's saying. Sorry, I interrupted you, but you made a very interesting point in terms of how leaders are looking. There's another decision point, Anjan, people are coming to, is again from a top-down level, is after they get a little bit of confidence, then it's build or buy. Yeah. Now, organizations which have had, say, a certain kind of capability. Suppose there's a good IT capability that already exists in your organization. You've got a good desk, you've got 30, 40 good talented people. Now, if AI can be picked up by somebody who's got no background in AI, then why can't my team, who's an expert in IT, for example, can pick up these and do things which will impact the organization more? So then the question becomes that, okay, I know that this capability is available. Do I now tell my team to understand this capability and build it inside and bring me efficiency? And sometimes these building decisions are proving to be more economically beneficial for companies than buying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's also something which I've noted some people have started doing, but it's happening now.
It is happening now, Krishnendu, and it is also, there is a realization that let's not do change management artificial importance. Let's just do efficiency based projects. Absolutely. Look at your own house, see your marketing department, see your HR department, see where are inefficiencies in the system. Get somebody who can help you with, okay, where can I embed or adopt AI in some of these processes? Look at the change. Is it helping you, not helping you? Go to the next function. Do it gradually. Much more risk averse, extremely cost effective, but you'll get the efficiency theme driven. And you'll also get buy-in from the managers.
I mean, both of you all spoke about economic efficiency, but this question is to both of y'all. Anybody could take it. How is AI changing teams, and how are they working? Like, you're working with so many teams. Are like, but do you think companies are adopting like this kind of efficiencies? Are they taking new roles? Are roles changing? Do you think that this fear that people have about their jobs? Do you think this entire thing is actually happening?
Look, there's no straightforward answer to this one, Anushka, because it depends from industry to industry. And I'm not saying it because I don't have a clear answer, but that's what the data seems to be indicating. See, on one hand, you read news about very, very large organizations downsizing. On the other hand, you also read news about organizations adopting and yet not getting benefits.
Yes.
So you're seeing both the spectrums. Now, what it indicates that the picture is not yet clear. And I believe in that today for the simple reason that, look, yeah, there is downsizing that is happening, and some of it could be AI, but I do think a large part of it is also planned organizational redundancy.
Okay.
That's what I would think. So yeah, I mean, look, if somebody writes a piece saying that AI took away so many jobs, it's clickbait. Yeah, let's not forget that also. Yeah, but I don't think that is the truth completely. But at the same time, what is also true is that AI is not like I buy a piece of software, plug it in, and from tomorrow I'm going to start getting productivity. That ain't true at all. Yeah, you got to understand that how does AI fundamentally work? Look, if you were to see the entire progression that's humanity has happened, you had the industrial age. What did it do? It sat on top of a labor-intensive age and brought in efficiencies.
True.
Then came the information age. Yes. Then came the dot-com boom, and now there's coming in AI. By the way, this still has not changed. This pyramid hasn't changed. There are people still working in factories. There is still software getting deployed to make them efficient, and then there is something which is like Internet of Things which connects them. I think AI sort of sits on top of all of that stuff, A, and B, it also gets embedded, as he was correctly pointing it out. So, therefore, to say that AI today is going to probably take away so many jobs, I would think at this point that fear is a little misplaced. Because what's also happening is that people are using AI the way it should have been used in the first place, to augment your own intelligence. And I do think, I mean, maybe your lead up question will be, I'm trying to answer that, is that what will the new age executive be, the new age labor be? It'll be somebody who uses AI to further himself. Yeah, to augment his own abilities. I think if you're able to do that, then the chances of you surviving and thriving in the next 10 to 20 years becomes much higher.
I think that's very I mean, I feel like when last 2 years, I've come from a generation that technically I am Gen Z, and we've heard AI. We've heard that people talking about AI coming into their workplaces. I have my batchmates who've just started working, and they are also seeing the whole thing. So the entire pyramid that you spoke about that does actually exist. But this entire thing of AI readiness when they come into the organization, I mean, Anjan, you speak a lot about AI readiness. What would you say that what is AI readiness? Like, and how do you, like, when you go to an organization, when you're talking to organizations, when you speak about AI readiness, how do you kind of frame the whole thing? Like, where, for example, if I'm a leader who's, say, 50 years old, who's I've seen everything, and now you're telling me I have to be AI ready. Like, what do you mean by AI readiness?
So my two pence to that leader who's 50 years old would be, look at your current processes. I'm going back to the same conversation that we had. Look at your current processes. So if you are a 50-year-old employee sitting in finance, right? Look at your billing process. So you're doing accounts, right? And look at you're doing billing, right?
Yeah.
In terms, so look at your current billing process. Okay. Identify what are those processes which are very productive and efficient. Identify processes which are not in. Okay. Now go to a person who knows prompt engineering, custom GPT, agent, and say, hey, you know what? These are three processes that is not working for finance. It takes too much of time for the too much turnaround time to build. Right from the way it initiates from the vendor, who comes back to the company and goes back to the vendor. Can we make this more efficient? So I think the mindset of identifying processes is the first step for readiness, inefficiencies in the process. Then transforming that mindset of identifying inefficiency and really making an effort to inquire about what solution in AI would cater to that efficiency by reaching out, merely reaching out. There's enough and more resources in this world now on AI to say, okay, help me out, build, bring in efficiency in these two processes or sub processes, and then prove efficiency on those processes. The day you have efficiency in that particular sub process is when you are AI ready for that process. No individual or a leader is AI ready. Your process has to be ready. The individual just comes in and helps you with AI to improve that process. So readiness is not directly correlated to a person. I can never say I'm AI ready because tomorrow something might just happen, and I'm in consulting. Somebody from marketing will say, "Oh, my implication for AI is very different from what consulting organizations do." So that's the way I would look at it. The day you are building efficiencies in your process and you're proving it is when you're ready with that process. But you cannot be overtly label somebody as AI ready.
I think you've raised a very interesting point here, Anjan. I think when you said that somebody in supply chain can make a point on marketing and vice versa, I mean, what is that? That's essentially saying that I know that tomorrow's worker doesn't have to belong to a particular silo.
It doesn't.
Yeah, because knowledge today is there. Knowledge today is there, and because you've got knowledge, you get empowered, and you can come up with a solution, which, for example, somebody in your team may not think of at all. And I think that is, along with what he mentioned, the process and the sub-process optimization, the mindset shift which a leader has to do, something which you talked about in the beginning, that's very important. Because look, I think what AI can do is make people very insecure about themselves, their titles, their organizations, everything. Yeah. I mean, tomorrow you may just become irrelevant. Yeah, it's not reached that stage, and I don't think it ever will, because end of the day, it's a human who's made AI, so that's also there. But it can happen. Is that point? It can happen. Like today, anybody can learn coding. It's not difficult, right? Yeah, anybody can do marketing if you just follow certain principles. Anyone can do supply chain also, for that matter. So you have to be prepared for a future where classical roles, classical thinking, classical processes may not exist.
Yeah. And just to build on to what you're saying, Krishnendu, so a lot of the people that we work with talk about what is the destination structure of a company with all these AI infusion coming in organizations. First of all, there's no destination structure. So I tell them that there's no destination structure because we're still evolving. But there is a transition structure that we are experiencing in organizations, and it looks like this. At at the operating core, which is the front line of the organization, the theme around AI will be efficiency, adoption, and you will have my guess in the next 2 to 3 years, 90 to 100% adoption. So pretty much your entire operating core will be AI enabled. That doesn't mean you get jobs or you lose jobs, but it will be enabled by AI, 100% of them. At the middle line, which is the middle organizations, you will have a mixture of humans and agents. So you will have an organization structure which has roles for leaders and employees. You will also have an organization structure comprising of agents doing a certain job. So you will have agents in the front line, you will have humans and agents in the middle line, and in the apex, which is the top leadership, you will predominantly have humans and leaders, but very few agents. So the concentration of AI adoption will typically be concentrated through agents and custom GPT, would be typically at the front line, followed by the middle line, and then the apex. Very few at the apex. But having said that, it is a transition structure. It might change this tomorrow. Right? So there are a lot of organizations who are actually putting an AI agent structure in their own company. In addition to the classical organization structure that we've seen for the last 100 years, they're now getting an agent structure in organizations, which is very interesting from a role and structure standpoint.
No, I mean, there are organizations which have appointed a chief AI officer. I mean, I keep reading about it.
they have. Yes.
They have appointed all of that stuff. But I also do feel that maybe that structure itself may be up for questions in the next 12 months because of the pace at which technology is changing. So the important thing to note out here is that as this is a destination structure, is that the downside of something like this. The downside of something like this is that AI brings in more uncertainty because of the pace at which it changes.
And I think that's why the fear gets amplified.
Absolutely. The fear does get amplified because look, it's like this. 18 months ago, I was using Perplexity. Then I started migrating to ChatGPT. Today, I use Claude.
And he gave a whole stack today of whatever he actually does use now.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Yeah, so that's there. I mean, I heard of certain creative tools about a year back. Then I was told that look, they don't work. Something better has come out. So when you're dealing with this, then what I'll tell you what it brings into the question has been very, very clearly discussed for the last 15-20 minutes. But what it also brings in is the fact that it removes stability and certainty in your everyday roles. And I think that is the part which people are uncomfortable about. For example, we all know about AI agents. Yeah.
Yes.
AI agents are great, etc. But I was also reading somewhere today that now whoever develops an AI agent, people are moving to an outcome-based payment, not a cost-based payment. Like one model is that human-led process cost X, AI will bring it down to say maybe whatever, a fraction of that. The other model is that while it may bring it down to 1/3 of that, but how do I know about the outcome? I don't know the outcome. Exactly. So that's also there. So which also means that while there is uncertainty about AI, of human beings being uncertain about AI, but humans are also uncertain about AI. That's equally there. So which means that there will be some sort of, how do I say, discomfort as we get into work every day.
Like Sophie's choice. It's here or there. I think both are uncertain.
Exactly, both are. That's a very good way of putting it together. So that's where it is, and that's what the workplace is going to look like for the next 4-5 years. And those are, I guess, you'll know better, Anjan. I mean, those are probably some of the challenges which CEOs will face as they structure their organizations, move it into the next decade, and they make their plans. How does one deal with this uncertainty on both sides? Sophie's choice, as you mentioned. That to me becomes the biggest problem with the CEO.
Yeah, and I think, and we talked this before this session, that a lot of AI is AI issues or AI agendas would be less on technology and deafness on being able to use the tools effectively, but more on the culture piece. Right? And I mean, to your previous question, when will I know I'm AI ready? It's not about knowing a Perplexity or a Claude, but really being confident and having a mindset of I can go and do this. So the day you can introspect and self-reflect and say, okay, it doesn't make a difference whether this is AI or non-AI. It's just that I have to go and do it. Is when you're AI ready, because the rest is very simple. In the age of information, in the way in which a lot of our clients, the employees are learning on their own. You don't need any orientation. You don't need any training. You don't need any guidance and mentoring. It's all out there, right? I mean, I've learned whatever little I could with AI, and now that we do consulting on AI, not because I had a mentor in AI. It's just that I went and got that information out there. But that's not the big thing. The big thing is, how does leaders attempt the culture piece? Having a legacy organization who's got 50 years old, to your point, or 30 years old, for whatever it's worth, being able to change that, reframe from, okay, oh, is AI something I should be running around, to say, can I be open to adopting or embracing that new way of looking at things, is the challenge. And my guess is, and I would be very, it could sound a little provocative, is that a lot of big leaders are not focusing on the culture piece.
I mean,
They are more worried about the adoption piece. They are very, very particular about AI adoption. But what is the consequence of that adoption is where they're missing the bus. I think the realization is is getting gradually, but needs a lot to be desired.
So what you're indicating is that what is the governance on AI? Let me just probably make that a little clearer. Governance on AI adoption and its impacting the organization. I think that is something.
Actually, many organizations have already started getting AI governance as a whole thing. Like, one is AI adoption, one is AI tools, and now the whole thing is coming about AI governance.
Ethics.
Ethics,
Yeah,
the whole thing on that also.
Yeah. So there are. So if you're looking at the building blocks, one is the adoption block.
Right.
One is the governance block, which is am I doing something which is ethical, and third is the culture block. So there were three building. Am I being open to embrace what is coming in front of me, and can I reframe from what I was doing to what I should do for me to have to come up the value chain.
I mean, you've been a CHRO, and I think when you are a CHRO, it is all about human capital. And now it is about also AI capital. And now you're dealing with it from a consultant perspective. When you're talking to CHROs right now, from your experience, what has changed? How are people dealing with it?
So I'll be very honest with you, Anu. I think a lot of CHROs are still, to Krishnendu's point, are still trying to figure things out. The good news about when I hear not only CHROs but HR leaders globally, in fact, largely in Southeast Asia, is that they are taking this transformation very seriously. So a lot of this AI capability adoption in companies are actually led and championed by human resource or CHROs. Yes, there are implications where IT has, the implications where businesses have. But the broad organizational transformation is actually now being led by a lot of CHROs. So the fact that Whitespace has a vertical on business transformation, which focuses on purely AI deployment, is a case in point. Now, here is a CHRO or whatever, an HR manager who's leading or advising companies, right, on AI adoption, right? So is a case in point to say yes. So it's a very bright spot for HR to be able to lead those transformations in many organizations. And my guess would be, if you looking at a sentiment analysis, my guess would typically be they're doing pretty good, because they're very, very authentic about the fact of where they are. They're very, very open to me to say, we really don't know where to start. Help us navigate through this whole thing, right? Some of them are saying we know where to start. All the three stuff that I talked about earlier, and it all starts from there, right? It all starts from there. So the recipe for success is start small, show that as a best practice, scale it up, deploy revenue, and make it a change project. Don't start change management from day one. Start efficiency, move to change.
Krishnendu, we spoke about uncertainty. If I want to look at it on the positive side, in the last 2 years since the adoption of AI, what are the productivity gains you have noticed in marketing wherein you've been working in that industry?
Look, I think see, marketing has got many elements in that one, and again, industries keep differing. But I think a large part of marketing also involves content creation. I think if you use the right kind of tools and have the right kind of support, you can see quite a significant reduction in content costs. That's one. And smaller enterprises have picked up on these, and like for example, bootstrap firms or D2C firms who need to keep say you need to deploy say 100 creatives a day because you're
It's about distribution at the end of the day.
absolutely so. It may be much more smarter to have an AI tool to do this. Yeah, that's one. Even organizations who do things at scale have to start perfecting models which can create and deploy at scale. So I think that's been one vertical that works. I think second, what has also happened is that I have experienced that teams are also working faster because there is a lot of stuff like for example secondary research which is an input into many of the marketing campaigns that one works on, or a little bit of perhaps a little bit of business strategy. I think that time has got compressed, and if you as a leader are willing to accept that I'm fine if you use AI, I have no issues with that one, provided you have vetted the data, provided you've added your own things
and provided a governance mechanism.
absolutely, you've done that, I'm absolutely okay. But then don't take 7 days, please come back to me in 1 day. Right? Now that's that's also there. Now what I felt was that if you are if you empower teams to use AI, but you put in those checks and balances which you're talking about, you can actually start seeing results much faster. So I think that's one. Which also means, by the way, you can compress some of your learning cycles. You can do your A/B testing, beta testing much faster, which means your speed to market can also go up. And if that happens, it starts impacting your business outcomes positively. Is what I have experienced. But again, I will just say it as a word of caution. We're still learning. We still haven't reached what say AI has promised. We're still learning. There is some distance to be covered.
So, just as if you had to give a piece of advice to young marketers who want to stay relevant, what would be the one piece of advice you would give in this entire AI storm that is happening?
I would say that be the marketer you were before AI started in the first place, which is have human connections, be connected with culture, people, and society, be passionate about at least an industry that you want to work in. Those things have not changed at all. The only thing which AI has forced you to do is be open to technologies, be open to speed, and accept that AI is there to augment your intelligence and not to threaten your intelligence.
True.
If you do that, whether it's marketing, whether it is HR or in supply chain, you will only get better, you will not get worse.
A question to you now, like what advice would you give to other leaders who are trying to embrace this culture? What would you say should be your first step?
So at the very top level, so very similar to what Krishnendu alluded to. I think the way I actually introspect about what's happening with us today, given the AI revolution, is I treat AI as a thought partner. And that's a big one because I don't regard AI even as an enabler. You know, for me, so if leaders could start with that premise, to say if I'm devising something and I'm in midst of putting together a blueprint for whatever plan you want to do, can AI start complementing my thinking? Therefore, and thereby become a thought partner. That's point one. Point two is don't be too defensive about including AI in organizations. There's actually a mix back there.
Yeah.
Certain organizations are pretty open in adoption. Certain organizations are still saying, okay, we don't want to be the first mover advantage. I want to see 5 organizations what they are doing and then maybe internalize it. So there are certain organizations who are actually saying, we have a firewall against AI, right? So my only request to that would typically, and even the boards that we work with, is to be a little open and embrace maybe to a limited extent, the implications and the benefits that AI bring to the table. And my last point around leader advice would be start small, don't start big.
I'll give you a very practical example of what it can do in marketing also. For example, see, one of the aspects in marketing you work on is packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the classical way of developing packaging was say that, or a packaging design, let me put it this way, was that no organization will ever have that sort of expertise to do that. You give it out to somebody else. That still stays. But what organizations, and I'm referring to some of the CPG ones, because that's where I've worked, is we were very good in putting down what is called a packaging brief. What is this brand about? What must this packaging connote? So, what adjectives you use, what words you use to describe the packaging design in terms of, say, you wanted a new logo for your brand. Yeah. Now, that itself was an art which took many weeks, and I'm talking of a few years ago. But today I feel that if you can use any of these tools, give a prompt saying that, hey, this is my current packaging. Yeah. If I had to make it more vibrant, more modern, say more feminine, what could it look like? Yeah. Then what happens is that you already have moved 15 or 20% of the journey. You've already done that. Now, when you're doing something like that, then if you were to approach, say, a good design agency, say, hey, this is how I'm thinking. Can you guys take it up from there, and then bring in your expertise into this one? Yeah, that's what AI can do. Which means that you've saved a lot of time. B, you're given a clearer direction, which is more productive. That's how you can do it. And I mean, okay, I haven't done it yet because I've not needed to. But next time I need to do it, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to wait, right? Take 2 weeks to write a packaging brief and then wait for 4 weeks to somebody come back with an output. It can be done in 2 weeks, I think. Then you've saved 4 weeks, right? That's a lot of money.
I mean, I feel like this has been a very illuminating conversation. The reason being that it's not like the facts we didn't know. I think there are a lot of facts that have got reinforced. And I feel like for people who would be watching this, and for anybody who's scared or anxious, that uncertainty is always going to be there. But I think it's how you navigate through it. My final questions to both of y'all will be, what's the future? How is the future going to look like according to you?
So for me, the future would be you will have organizations which will have so structure follows strategy. If I take that line of thinking, you will have a structure where you will have an organization structure with humans, you will have an organization structure with agents, and the effort with leaders would be is to kind of synthesize the human and the agent to provide the given output. That is point one. The other most important thing around future of AI is that we've got to be very mindful of the governance mechanism of AI, because whilst it's very productive and efficient, it might lead to it might be counterproductive and even sometimes inefficiency, given that there are black boxes within the narrations that we are talking about. Okay. Third is it's going to be a commodity, so it's not a differentiator. So slowly you'll move from a brief that today some people can do versus everybody can do. So it's going to be a commodity. So it's going to be a way of life. So if it's a way of life, you're going to figure out what differentiates you with the others, and that's where the trick is, or that's where the dividend is in terms of one notch up in terms of what you deliver to the organization. So these are the three things which I think would be the future going forward.
And finally, Krishnendu.
I completely agree with him that that's what's going to be. So I'm just going to add a couple of additional points on this one. I think one of the things which, say, organizations will have to keep in mind is that the AI that they're seeing today, maybe it will not be the same a few years down the line. The reason being, and I was reading somewhere that the total investments which all tech firms in the US have done in AI is coming close to $1 trillion. Now, to get ROI on that will have implications in terms of pricing of your tools. Now, today, the pricing seems to be accessible. Because A and B is that the productivity benefit is outweighing the cost also. In the future, you don't know what the pricing is going to be like. You have no idea what the pricing is going to be like, because there is an investment that you've made in capex on AI, and there is also additional investment that's happening in energy, GCCs, etc. So that's, if you were to add all of that stuff, that kind of investment hasn't happened after the dot-com boom. And today, if you see the markets, it's already, the P's are already extremely high. So how does someone who has invested in AI get benefits on that? It's going to boil down to pricing in the end, enterprise pricing, consumer pricing. Now, we'll have to see how that plays out. If, for example, somebody takes a benign view on pricing, then maybe the benefits that we are seeing, that basically productivity offsets cost will continue. If the pricing goes up, it may differ. Like, for example, I have this hypothesis that in a country like India, where relative cost of human capital is still lower than other countries, AI will still have to fight for its rights to exist. Yeah, that's my view. That's my view. We still have a very large young working population in this country. Cost of labor is very, very competitive. So what's your benchmark? Your existing costs, your future costs, right? So that's something you've got to keep a very close watch on. And yes, the design of the organization structure is going to be what it is. There will be human and there will be agents. That is going to be, and both will have to find a way of coexisting with each other. So that's something we need to keep a watch on.
I mean, I feel like this has been a genuinely nice conversation. I feel like the key takeaways would be that, I mean, the last point that he said, that cost of capital for labor especially is always going to be lower in a country like India. I think these are points to ponder upon, and this whole conversation has had a lot of points that I feel like even I've kind of introspected. So I think thank you for those points, and we've come to the end of this, and thank you for watching. And a big thank you for the both of you to be part of this and give your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers. Pleasure.
Cheers.